I'm Ruth Hendy. I'm the lead cancer nurse here at University Hospitals Bristol and Western. And I'm here really just to welcome you to our Next Steps Health and Wellbeing event. And I'm just going to do a very brief introduction and then lead on to our other speakers and the other sessions throughout our event. So I just want to talk to you about what health and wellbeing events are all about, who they're for, why we think they're important, and what they include. So what are health and wellbeing events? Well, really, it's an opportunity for us to give you some information and advice and just help maximise your overall health and wellbeing, really. Thinking, for people following a cancer diagnosis and after cancer treatment, then it's really an opportunity to share information and advice with you at this time. We run health and wellbeing events for groups of people in or close to the hospital, but also they're recorded as videos that can be available for people to watch at home in the comfort of your own homes, and perhaps watch them with family members and friends, and watch them over again to gain other useful bits of information, hopefully. So there's different options available. So who are they for? So really, health and wellbeing events are for anybody who's been impacted by a cancer diagnosis. So it could be somebody, maybe yourself who have had a cancer diagnosis, or perhaps you're supporting somebody who has, a friend or a family member. And also it's important for us to remember that we invite people to come to these events and listen to this information from a whole variety of situations. So people with many different types of cancer, people who've had different types of cancer treatment, whether it's chemotherapy, radiotherapy, hormone treatment, surgery, etc. And it's really important that we remember that people have had very different personal experiences. So, as and when people come together in groups for these events, it's always important to remember people are in the room with different types of cancer and not all having the same experience. And some people will have finished treatment. Some people will be continuing to live with their cancer and may in fact need to have long-term cancer treatment in the future as well. And some people have told that there's no longer any evidence of their cancer, so there really are lots of different situations for people, and it's always important to remember that. But there'll be information, hopefully, within these sessions and in our health and wellbeing events, that can be helpful for everybody. So why do we think health and wellbeing events are important? When you've had a cancer diagnosis and had cancer treatment, then sometimes people do say to us that they can feel really quite isolated and even abandoned, and that can lead to a feeling of a loss of confidence. So I think if often following cancer diagnosis, people do have to come up to the hospital repeatedly and quite frequently often for visits and treatments and everything. And then suddenly when it gets towards the end of treatment, that can finish. And suddenly you're not coming up to the hospital as often, you're not seeing the healthcare professionals as often. And that's when people can feel even more isolated and perhaps abandoned. So this is sometimes described as a period of adjustment when, it's quite a change to stop coming to the hospital as often. And so what we want to do is help people take back some control. And so by giving some of this information and advice and support, really helping people to maximise their overall health and well-being, because we know it does genuinely help people cope with the side effects of treatment that they've had, and also the consequences of actually the cancer diagnosis and the fact that, people have had significant surgery and the different treatments, and they in themselves, can create difficulties for people. So the information that you'll hear in these different sessions will all help towards building your health and well-being going forward. And importantly, obviously, it also boosts immunity. So from these sessions, from these overall events, the aim really for doing this is to help support you making healthy lifestyle choices going forward, and also some small and meaningful positive lifestyle changes. So as you see from the information that's coming up, it will all help people head in the right direction towards these choices going forward. So obviously I'm just setting very brief context now as to why we hold these health and wellbeing events and why we think they're important. And then we'll get on with the really interesting part when the different specialist speakers will talk about these particular areas in detail. If you want to see some more information about the context of why this is important, then there's also a Penny Prawn DVD that we've referred to. That's available. You can see it on the website, and that gives a bit more context about why health and wellbeing is so important. So yes, you'll also see the sessions that we've got coming up. We've got our physiotherapists talking about getting active again, and occupational therapists talking about how to really manage and cope with cancer fatigue that often people experience. We've got our psychologists talking about the emotional impact of having a cancer diagnosis on yourself as a person with cancer, but also the impact it can have on close family and friends as well. And also our specialist dietitians talking about eating well and the importance of that. There'll be information available about our Macmillan Cancer Support Workers, and they're available from Western and Bristol, and we'll have contact details for them as well. And also our cancer information and support centres. Again, we have information support centres at Western and in Bristol as well. And we've also got information available for you about Penny Prawn UK. If you've heard of Penny Prawn, it's a cancer support charity, and they've got a national centre out in Pill near Bristol, where they run events and activities for people with cancer and impacted by that, and also a lot of online resources, and do a lot to really help promote self-care and to help people live as well as possible with and alongside their cancer. So I think that's me drawing to a close, and then we can, move on to all the important sessions for you. But if you do have any other questions about health and wellbeing events generally, then please, I would point you towards our Macmillan Cancer Support Workers. And as I say, their Western and Bristol contact numbers and email addresses are there for you. Thank you, and I hope you find the information useful.
Fantastic.